Edition of Hannity. Now, according to multiple news outlets tonight, a highly anticipated report from the Department of Justice Inspector General is expected to criticize former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe for authorizing improper media leaks about an investigation into the Clinton Foundation back in October of 2016. This same IG report is also expected to get into the Clinton email investigation. This news comes on the same week that more than a dozen Republican lawmakers in the House sent a letter to Attorney General Jeff Sessions urging him to appoint a second special counsel to investigate both the FBI and the Department of Justice's handling of the Clinton and Trump-Russia probes. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is one of the lawmakers calling for a special counsel, a second special counsel. He joins us now. All right. Good evening, Congressman.
Good evening, Judge.
All right. Now, you are renewing, as are many Republican congressmen, the request for a second special counsel. Now, I imagine that most viewers are saying they did it before. Why should it happen now? And what's new that they're asking for it again?
Well, Judge, the last time we spoke about the ability for Democrats to convert political cash into a government-sponsored warrant to spy on members of the Trump transition team, you said you wanted to see people led away in handcuffs, not just fired, but led away in handcuffs. Well, you know what? The FBI and the Department of Justice aren't going to be putting the handcuffs on themselves, so we need a second special counsel, just as Congressman Lee Zeldin has recommended, so that we can take the findings of the IG report, we can take the information we've learned in congressional hearings, and we can actually have prosecutions. Because my fear is that if we don't have a second special counsel, this will turn out a lot like the Benghazi investigation, where we learn a lot of bad facts, but no one's really held accountable.
You know what bothers me, Congressman, is that given the FBI and the Department of Justice's dilatory approach, you know, to everything from the handing over of emails, from the redactions, from the outright refusal by even the FBI director saying, well, we'll work out what we're going to give Congress, which has oversight over justice and the FBI. You know, it seems to me that it is impossible. They basically said everything but we dare you because we're not going to do anything anyway. What do we do about this?
Well, Congress doesn't have the power to throw people in jail, but we have the responsibility to find the evidence and show it to the American people. And to your point, Judge Jeanine, if we had not had congressional oversight and hearings and subpoenas, we wouldn't even know about the text messages between Pete Strzok and Lisa Page that demonstrate a substantial anti-Trump, pro-Hillary bias. You mentioned Andrew McCabe earlier. His testimony before the Judiciary Committee in closed session showed me that Hillary Clinton was never really put in jeopardy as a result of her use of a private email server and the leaking of classified information because she had people that were running interference for her at the DOJ.
What do you say to people who say, I am so sick and tired of this Clinton email investigation thing, let it go? What do you say to them?
Well, we cannot live in a country where losing an election functions as a de facto immunity deal. If people broke the law, they have to be held accountable, because if we just allow that to happen, then we invite that type of crime in the future. That's why the rule of law matters. And now the Clintons, they've got decades of ignoring the rule of law and never being held accountable, and we've got a chance to change it, and we should take that opportunity.
So what are the chances of getting a special counsel, a second special counsel?
Well, that is up to Jeff Sessions, and frankly, I'm very disappointed.
He's the guy who took himself off within 24 or 48 hours of being appointed the Attorney General. He tells the president, I'm recusing myself. I mean, this is beyond the pale. Jeff Sessions is not going to do it. Jeff Sessions says, I'm getting an inspector general. Oh, we can spend another year and a half on an inspector general coming up with a conclusion. The inspector general doesn't have the right to go to a grand jury, subpoena anybody. So what is this guy doing?
Well, if Jeff Sessions does not appoint a second special counsel, then we need a new attorney general, Judge, because you're absolutely right. Even if we learn more horrifying things from the inspector general, we can't actually prosecute somebody for those things because we would need somebody to be able to bring that case. And the Department of Justice and FBI obviously won't be bringing a case against themselves. So Jeff Sessions needs to get rid of this mindset that is a dereliction of duty, and he needs to do what Congress has called for and appoint a second special counsel to get to the bottom of this.
But Jeff Sessions, said he was considering that and considering investigating certain cases. I don't know whether it was the email thing or the foundation, whatever it was. He gave us all hope a few months back. Nothing's happened from that either. The president, it doesn't appear that he's going to get rid of Sessions, all right, because, everybody, I'm sure, will have a conniption, and all his senator friends will say it's a Saturday night massacre. So, I mean, does America just kind of keep moving as though it doesn't matter who violates the law?
I never underestimate the power of the American people. Remember when there were some people in the intelligence community who didn't even want to release the Nunes memo, but because tens of thousands of Americans contacted their members of Congress and demanded transparency, we got it. And that's why the American people need to back up what Lee Zeldin and many other members of Congress are fighting for, to get a second special counsel so that people are held accountable and thrown in jail for the crimes committed against the Trump administration during the transition.
All right. And finally, you guys now are really pushing hard on this. Do you have meetings with the Attorney General? I mean, have you sat down with him and said, maybe, over a glass of milk, a glass of bourbon, I mean, whatever, and said, come on, what is the problem here?
I did sit down with the Attorney General along with Judiciary Chairman Bob Goodlatte and many others, and I was disappointed that the Attorney General didn't seem to be very engaged on any of these issues regarding existential threats to the Trump administration. He was deferring to a team that answered to Rod Rosenstein, for goodness sakes, and it was Rosenstein's very signatures that reauthorized these wiretaps based on false information that the Department of Justice and FBI knew was false information. And so I think we need a more engaged Attorney General.
Well, was the Attorney General in the company of Rod Rosenstein at that point, or Rosenstein's chief of staff, as I understand he usually is?
It was the members of the Rosenstein team that were present, and when members of Congress asked Jeff Sessions to be more assertive and take action on a second special counsel, he deferred to staff members. I fear, Judge, that Jeff Sessions has become an employee at the Department of Justice, and he's not fulfilling his duties as Attorney General.
Wow. Thank you. The deep state existed after watching Attorney General Jeff Sessions testify before Congress this week. You should now. I don't know what the problem is, but I'm telling you, there is one. When Russia sells 20% of America's uranium, when the Clinton Foundation gets $145 million, when Bill gets a $500,000 speaking fee from the Kremlin-connected company financing the deal, when Buddy Barack allows Bill to meet with the head of the Russian Nuclear Energy Commission, and the Obama administration's Committee on Foreign Investment approves the sale, tone deaf to the concerns of Republican national security experts. No surprise, 7 of the 9 CFIUS members who approved the sale are connected to the Clinton Foundation. There's a problem, folks, and that problem needs to be investigated. So what's the problem? Why isn't this in front of a grand jury? Why no special counsel? Why is it so difficult for Jeff Sessions to answer a straight question? Why does it appear he's not even clear on whether and what he's recused from? Take a look.
Do you have the authority today, subject to your recusal, to appoint a special counsel to investigate the Uranium One matter?
I believe I do.
Do you have the authority to appoint a special counsel to investigate the Fusion GPS dossier?
I don't believe that I should be talking about and evaluating cases here today. So if I'm not recused, I have the authority, yes, and the duty and the responsibility to make that decision.
And why does it take him months to respond to a congressional oversight committee? His response wouldn't even need to be made public.
But my concern is we sent you a letter 3.5 months ago asking for a second special counsel. And if you're now just considering it, what's it going to take to get a special counsel?
It will take a factual basis that meets the standards of the appointment of a special counsel.
Factual basis? Okay, let's try a different angle. The Clinton campaign and the DNC, which we now know were one and the same, much to Bernie's detriment, and the FBI all pay the author of a fake dossier to muddy up Donald Trump, your president, who appointed you, Mr. Attorney General, which dossier was presumably used by Jim Comey once he dropped it on the president's desk as the basis for a FISA application that could then be used to surveil Americans associated with Trump, which Americans were then illegally unmasked by the 17 intelligence agencies who themselves were suddenly unmasked, thus creating a kangaroo third world justice system where money, power, and the FBI are joined at the hip. And if that isn't worth looking at, then I'm from Mars. And if you did watch that hearing, did you even get a straight answer from the Attorney General? Does he even know the parameters of his own recusal? So how and when are we going to get answers? We already know it takes years for Congress to get responses. Predictions are that the release of Hillary's State Department and Benghazi emails won't be completed until 2020. Now, that's no way to run a government, but it's a real way to hide the truth, or at least cut the guilty a break. It's no wonder the Congress's approval rating is 15%, its disapproval 74%. So what needs to be done? In a few minutes, you'll hear from two congressmen determined to get answers. They believe they can successfully and in a timely fashion investigate and get answers. They will subpoena witnesses, bring people in to do depositions, ask for documents, do public hearings. But it must be on a timely schedule. None of this. Ask for a document, wait 3 months, not get the document. 6 months later, consider a subpoena. Wait until the subpoena comes or doesn't come. Basically, running out the scandal clock. The congressional committees need to be supported by leadership, congressional leadership. That means Paul Ryan, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell. They need to buck up, take responsibility, and get everyone on board. Leadership needs to be in full agreement with committee members, willing to go the distance, willing to go wherever that evidence takes them. And as for the witness who brought Russia's corrupt efforts to pay off whomever they needed to access the United States uranium to the FBI and was then gagged so he couldn't spill the beans on the Clintons, well, he's now going to talk to Congress. There's already an effort to discredit him, which I find rather amusing, given the fact that this businessman was a key witness for the Department of Justice and the FBI, and the left that's attacking him hasn't even heard from him. I don't believe the left can even handle the truth. Now, those same two congressmen are going to tell you that they intend to ask the president to declassify the very application that was used to get the FISA warrant during the campaign. This will tell us whether the dossier created by Hillary and the DNC, and we believe paid for by the FBI as well, is part of the fake FISA application that created the surveillance of Donald Trump and those people connected to the campaign. So to those who say another special counsel serves no purpose, this must stop, I say baloney. I say law and order and truth and justice are the very foundations of this republic. And I am tired of the powerful and the Clintons being above the law that each and every one of us must follow. But Hillary says
this appears to be the politicization of the Justice Department and our justice system. This Uranium One story has been debunked countless times by members of the press, by independent experts. It is nothing but a false charge. This is such an abuse of power. and it goes right at the rule of law.
Pray tell Hillary, first of all, who's debunked it. The truth, Hillary is from the school of lie, deny, and delay. She and the Obama administration have thwarted Congress at every turn. Investigations are drawn out for so long that America's collective memory fades to the point where no one really cares anymore, which is just what the plan was in the first place. Look, I was a judge. It's real simple. If someone is subpoenaed and there's no response, you hold that person in contempt. You take a look at the facts, you prosecute, and if justified, you put them in jail. We have a system of laws that we, as an ordered society, have agreed to adopt, follow, and enforce. And even though I'm not on the bench anymore, and even though I'm not the DA anymore, I am going to continue to fight to get honest answers. I don't like when people lie, and I don't like when people try to take advantage of others. Now, I'm going to tell you, my audience, I've gotten some major pushback from people, but I'm still a believer. I still believe in truth and justice. The Department of Justice is the last resort.